This week in Storytime with Aunt Phil, the history of Ruby, why it was once considered the gem of the Yukon.
I see what you did there. The town, now mostly known as a checkpoint in the Iditarod, but back in the day it was known for its gold. And its author Laurel Bill tells us the largest gold nugget ever found in Alaska was in fact found in Ruby.
The town of Ruby got its name in the early 1900s. Prospectors were looking for gold in a creek just south of the Yukon, and they thought they saw rubies mixed in with gold nuggets.
Yeah, well, it turns out they weren't rubies, they were garnets, but still that didn't stop people, Laurel, from heading north to this newly named town.
When large amounts of gold were found in the creek in 1906, many miners started coming into interior Alaska. And then when word slipped out about a big gold discovery on Long Creek in 1910, it actually started a major gold rush. By 1911, a little tent and frame building town was starting to grow up on the wilderness. Some people actually called it the hub of Alaska because it was almost geographically center in the last frontier. And the little town had electricity and telephones, hotels, movie theater. It even had scheduled barge and riverboat service and was rivaling Fairbanks as the center of civilization in Alaska.
During that time, there were quite a few gold discoveries in the area that kept people coming north.
The Ruby Record, which was a weekly newspaper, merged with the Citizens newspaper and reported constantly on new gold discoveries. Gold was discovered on Greenstone and Poorman Creeks in 1912, on Swift Creek in 1914, and Moose Creek 1920. Ruby became the supply point for all these little mines that were showing up all around the area.
Well, this all sounds great, but unfortunately Ruby's heyday would be short-lived. Laurel, what happened?
Well, in 1918, a lot of the men went off to war, and then later that year, the Princess Sophia sank near Sitka with many of the businessmen from Ruby on board. And then in 1929, a huge fire went right through their business district and destroyed many of the businesses. And to top it off, 2 years later, 1931, a big flood came in and destroyed the businesses that had survived the fire. So today, Ruby is the northern checkpoint on the Iditarod sled dog race trail, and most of its residents are Koyukon Athabascan Indians.
There was a big discovery there about 20 years ago, the largest gold nugget ever discovered in Alaska.
In 1998, Ruby again was in the spotlight. That's when Barry Clay, who was working the same mine as his grandfather on Swift Creek, he'd mined it in 1915, discovered a huge nugget rolling down a mound of dirt right in front of his bulldozer blade. It weighed in at 294.1 troy ounces. Up to that point, for almost 100 years, a nugget weighing 182 ounces found at Anvil Creek near Nome had held that record. And to put things in perspective, in the Yukon, the biggest nugget ever found was 126 ounces.
Wow, so 1998, that huge gold nugget after, all the gold rush, everybody up here looking for gold. It shows that there's still a lot of gold out there to be found.
Yeah, it's so big it looks fake. And poor Ruby, I mean, it was just
the series
pounded
of
over the
perils.
years. Yeah.
Wow.
But hey, now you know that is an interesting one for sure.